Hey guys, Mark from Modus here. Today we are going over a active pigeon stretch. You may have heard of a pigeon pose or a pigeon position or a pigeon stretch before, and we are going to go over some details that will make this even more effective for you and really help you gain external rotation in your hip. If you have a hard time sitting cross-legged, this is likely partly due to lack of external rotation in your hips, and this will be a great stretch for you to do. So our active pigeon stretch starts in a lunge position. My feet are more or less on the exact same line. I'm working the hip of my front leg, so that's where the focus should be. And I'll do this from a few different directions so that you can see all the details we're looking at. You're supporting yourself on fingertips. You're aiming to keep 90 degrees in the front knee at all times. And you drop your pelvis to the ground as you push your knee out to the side. So I'm not just pushing the knee out to the side, but I am dropping the pelvis to the ground. And you'll feel a stretch through the hip, through your glute. Push through the stretch to bring yourself back up to the lunge position. Drop the weight into the hips as I push my knee to the side and press through the stretch on the way back up. The most common mistake we see in our active pigeon is the front knee going less than 90 degrees. The reason this is important is because if it's less than 90 degrees, usually you are putting the focus elsewhere and trying to cheat out of the stretch a little bit. The main cheat is, as you push the knee to the side, bring your hips forwards. You can see I'm at less than 90 degrees here, and it's going to end up stretching a bit more hip flexor, but we're not even loading the hip flexor very well in this position, and that's not our focus anyway. If I keep the 90 degrees, notice how it shifts my weight back and keeps the weight over my hips and allows me really to focus on the external rotation in my hip. The other cheat that goes hand in hand with this is swinging the hips to the side. If you're losing that 90-degree angle in the knee, you might be pushing your hips to the side, thinking you're increasing the stretch by pushing the hip to the side with the knee. The hip should stay centered, just the knee goes to the side as I lower my hips down. Now, depending on the range of motion you have in your hip flexors, your back knee may touch the ground. It's okay if it does, just make sure you're not shifting weight into the back leg. So I don't want to put my knee on the ground. It might touch a little bit, and that's okay. Just make sure you're not taking weight out of your front hip while doing this drill. So notice a lot of the pointers have all been about keeping weight in the hips. You can go watch our video on why weighted stretching is important, because that's a discussion for another time. But we want to keep the load in the hips. And this brings us to the final point. Fingertips, not hands. If you can't manage it and you need a little bit of help in the beginning, feel free to use your hands down, but quickly move to fingertips. And the reason for this is that it simply limits how much weight can go into the hands. In the beginning, you definitely need to take weight into the hands and use them for balance as well. But going onto the fingertips means you're not going to shift a ton of weight into the fingers because they'll start to hurt and can't support the weight. So it forces you to put more weight into your hips, and eventually we want to be able to do the drill unsupported. With this in mind, we do 5 repetitions and a 10-second hold. And on the hold, I want you to do your best to try to get your torso as upright as possible and support through the hands as little as possible. Now, some people may have issues with their arms getting in the way of their legs. If this is the case for you, do whatever you can to make it work. I've got shorter legs, so it's not such a problem for me. But maybe you're supporting on your hands, and as you push the knee to the side, the arm is in the way. You can either bend the arm to get it out of the way. You can move your hand forwards a little bit. You can shift it each rep if you prefer, or you can just leave it on the inside of the leg the whole time. Now, I know some people will have difficulty even getting the knee out to the side at all and may not even feel a stretch in the hip because you're so limited in external rotation, you can't even get to the point where it starts to load the stretch. If this is you, let us know. We'll soon be putting out another video on external hip rotation that will help those who are very challenged in this position. That's all for today. If you have any questions, just leave us a comment or send us a message. If you're interested in a bit more personalized guidance, send us an email inquiring about online coaching.